Welcome to Bobby's World, where we help businesses be better online. Today, we're going to walk through how to get very specific in defining your target market, which is going to be a huge help to you this coming Friday. What's today? Thursday, Wednesday. We are on Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve, and really defining your target market is not going to be just a big advantage for this coming Friday, for Black Friday, and it's not too late to be doing some of this work. So if you are just getting started and defining some of this stuff, you're just kind of scrambling last minute to put out ads or build a new landing page to send all this holiday traffic to, don't fret. It's not too late. You can get started right now, today, tonight, build out this plan. But we're going to get very specific today with how to build out your target market. What do I mean by that? It's going to give you a big competitive edge. Again, not just this Black Friday, but all year long. How do we do that? How do we get very specific with our target market? How do we do that? By creating personas. I'm going to show you step by step how we create personas and how you can do it quickly and easily from home. There's nobody that is in our industry right now that isn't doing any of this work. At least if they aren't, they should be. But today we're going to walk through how to get very specific with defining your target market, which will give you a big competitive edge, not just on Black Friday, but all holiday season long. How do we do that? By creating personas. I'm going to show you step by step how to do that today, quickly, easily. There are a lot of methods out there. I'm going to show you a very quick way to create personas so you can get very specific with your target market, which is going to give you a big boost during the holiday season. Let's get into it. First phase, first thing we do, let's talk about what is a persona. A persona is a fictional character. It is somebody that you kind of make up based off of data that you collect. I'm going to show you how to do that, and we're going to walk through an example step by step, but they're a made up person. You give them a name, you give them a location, you give them a job, you give them a salary. They are an accumulation, an amalgamation of lots of different people that you've gathered information from assumptions that you've made, maybe even from you yourself if you're smart. And that gives you a way to talk very specifically to not just one, but a group of people. So that's what persona is. In advertising and marketing, you'll hear them called avatars, personas, profiles, all sorts of different language in the industry, but it's all the same thing. They are part of your target market. They are how you speak to your target market to boost your sales, your engagement, and make more traction during the holiday season, but all year long. So that's what a persona is. I'm going to show you how to do it. Phase one is about grabbing a bunch of different data. So it's all about the research. This is what I get. I clicked the wrong thing. Before I even cover that, we're going to talk about how do you use a persona. So how do you use a persona? Once you've gathered all the information, you've created these personas, how do you actually use that data to your advantage? Well, you do it through creating things like ads. You do it through creating things like landing pages. Anything that you're going to put out into the world, just think if you were creating something very specific for your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your wife. If you were creating something very specific to them, you know their taste, you know what they like, what they don't like, what words are triggering or make them angry, and what things they really like. If you know those about a whole hundreds, thousands of people in general, then you're going to be able to speak their language much more easily, right? Which makes the process of actually selling and engaging them much easier. It makes it much easier because you are talking directly to them. And at the end of the day, that's what we all want. We want to feel like we are being heard and understood, and like this product was designed specifically for me, with me in mind. How did you know? That's what you want to create, and that's what you'll do with personas. So that's how we're going to use them. Okay. How do you build a persona? I'm going to walk you through step by step here. Now, you can follow along with me, and you don't have to do it exactly the way that I do it. if you Google how to build a persona or personas in general, you're going to find a dozen different ways to do this, probably more. Some of them go extremely in depth. You can think, I mean, there are whole companies, there's a whole industry around this, right? Advertising, marketing. You think Coca-Cola builds out personas? Yeah, they know who you are. So does Nike. The big boys all do this. That doesn't mean you have to spend hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to build this out. You can do this in your own free time with tools at your disposal. Hell, you could do it with pen and paper if you wanted to. Today, we're going to use Google Sheets. If you have a Gmail account, Google Sheets comes with it for free. You can also use just the notepad on your computer. You can use the notepad on your cell phone, anything like that. Anything where you can create a grid is doable for creating personas and using them. So here's how we do it. Step number one. There's really four simple steps to this whole. There's really four simple steps to this whole process, and they can go pretty quickly. And again, you don't have to make this too hard, but you will be amazed how much easier this makes writing copy for your website, writing copy for your ads, creating landing pages, which we'll talk about in another video. Going through this process is so worth it because of the value it's going to add to your communications to your clients. So step number one is research. Now, I recommend doing this in the form of a questionnaire. At the very least, just write out 5 to 6 different questions that you want very specific answers to. I like to make a few of them very specific to a problem or to a product that I'm creating. And then a few of the others are really more about demographics, so you kind of get that general information as well. That stuff is all extremely useful. So you end up with 5, 6 different questions, and then some of your housekeeping items like age, name, location, stuff like that. So let's build out our questionnaire. And here's another thing to think about. You could do this all online you could use a Google form and easily and quickly build out 5, 6 questions and then just email that to your entire email list, to friends, to family. You could put a link to it in your social media profiles, in your LinkedIn profile. Anybody who you think would be adding value to a quick, simple, it's going to take them 2-3 minutes maybe to get through the entire thing. So create a quick questionnaire and put it out on your social media. It's a great way to just quickly, easily, and for free gather a bunch of data, because ultimately that's what we want. There's a wide swath of data that we can kind of map and then create our personas off of it. Let me show you how I'm doing it on mine. I'm using Google Sheets here. And I've created I know this is kind of sporadic, it's kind of everywhere, but really if you look at it, it's pretty simple. So location, what their age, if you don't want to be specific, you can get age ranges, gender, marital status, those are all extremely helpful. And then down here really are the questions. And now I've got a couple of other things that I like to keep in mind as I'm going through this process. I've created hundreds and hundreds of personas. I do them for clients all the time. I've done them for my own small businesses. It's invaluable to you. So again, I highly, highly recommend that you do this. It doesn't take you much time and you can do it for free. Just put the time, energy, and effort into doing this. Your future self will thank you. All right. So what I've got here are a series of very quick questions. And here I've got a scale. So do they shop on social media? Not at all. 1 being not at all, 5 being constantly, and where they rate on that, 1 through 5. Do they shop on Amazon? Not at all, constantly, 1 through 5. Next question I have is, let me step back. This is a fictional shoe company, right? If I created an e-commerce shoe store and I've built my own brand and I'm kind of just getting started about how I'm going to market these sweet new shoes that I've made, these are the types of questions that I would be asking, at least to start. You can always go deeper down the rabbit hole, but this is going to give you a running head start when you're starting out your company or when you're doing a new advertising or marketing program. When you're getting started with a new advertising campaign, marketing campaign, landing page, this is a great way to get started because it's going to give you that boost. So fictional shoe company, e-commerce store, what have I built out here? Shops on social media, not at all, to constantly. Shops on Amazon, not at all, or constantly. What do you care about the most when buying shoes? And then I've got a couple of easy things for them to decide. Comfort, style, price, uniqueness, brand. make it easy for whoever's doing the questionnaire to fill out, circle, whatever it is. The more that you leave empty inputs, the more sporadic data you're going to get. So it's nice to just have it very clean and clear so that they can just check or circle or whatever and map it out more easily for you. There are obviously a few open-ended ones as well. What is your profession? It's useful to know under what context, in my instance, people are actually wearing their shoes and how they make decisions. And that kind of pairs with the decision that was above them, or the question that was above that. What do you care about the most when buying shoes? Picture somebody that's a nurse and they're on their feet all day, every day, or a waiter. Anybody that is standing constantly and working on their feet constantly, they might really be focusing on something like comfort. You don't know. You can make assumptions, but you never know until you ask. All right, a couple of the other questions that I have on here. What was the last pair of shoes that you bought? How often do you buy shoes? And why do you shop online? And then I have a couple of pre-filled answers for them that they can, again, circle or add in their own. Ease of use, availability, cost. What is the main driver for shopping online? A lot of people, it's going to be things like convenience. I can do it from my phone. I can do it any time of day. There's way more variety online. And oftentimes I can find better deals online. That's fair. But what are the downsides of shopping online? Again, I've kind of pre-filled a few of these. You can leave these kind of questions open-ended if you like, just so you can get wider swaths of data. But the hassle of returning if they don't fit, it's a pain. I personally am very bad at returning things. So I have way too many things that I bought on Amazon and just was too lazy to return. And now they just kind of sit around. So that's just me. Also, you can't try them on to see how they look and how they feel. So that's a downside, especially if you hate returning. And then there's also this kind of economic piece, at least for me. I'm a big advocate of shopping local when you can. So not being able to support a local store, it's kind of a downside. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm more concerned with some of my other pieces: comfort, style, price, uniqueness of brand. But you never know what you're going to learn when you ask these types of questions. Okay, so we've got a handful of questions, very simple. Doesn't take long at all for anybody to fill out. One of the other pieces I like to do is have follow-ups. Keep some of these follow-up questions in mind. Where you're going to see this are kind of, what are their goals? What are they trying to achieve when they're shopping on social media? What are they trying to achieve through shopping on Amazon? What do they expect from the experience from shopping online? What are the things that they really depend on when they're shopping online? What makes it easy for them? What need does it satisfy for them to be purchasing online versus purchasing in person? There's advantages to both, but keep a lot of these things in mind. You don't have to ask these questions directly, but they're important for you to know, because that's how you're going to make decisions about copy and content and where you place things on your landing page or your ads later on. You can also, if you're able, especially if you're doing these in person, it's really kind of nice to be able to just start with your inner circle or with your friends or family, but have some follow-up questions ready. Have some follow-up questions ready so that you can get a little bit more detail from these. So if you're shopping on social media, where do you shop on social media? Do you buy things off of Instagram? Do you do Facebook Marketplace, which might tell me they're buying things that are used or pre-owned? And what do you like about it? What do you like about the process? So just keep those kind of things in mind. And if you wanted to get really granular on each of these, you could go to the Socratic method, right? Or you could even, some other people might call it the 5 whys, which is kind of the Socratic method. You kind of keep just drilling down with why until you get a true, pure answer. Why do you shop online? Because it's easy. Why is it easy? Well, because I can do it from anywhere. Why can you do it from anywhere? Well, because it's mobile friendly. You can keep going down that rabbit hole until you get very specific, and then things will start to click. A light bulb will go on because you've discovered a place where you can meet a need, or you might just kind of be reminded of something that maybe you weren't thinking of before. How convenient is my store on mobile? How good is my store on mobile? Have I removed all the obstacles in their way on mobile to make it really easy to once click and get out, get their purchase and get on with their life? So the Socratic method or the 5 whys is great for following up on some of these kind of questions. Okay. One other hint that I have for you when you're going through this process, when you're starting your questions to build out personas, is to start with yourself. Oftentimes, when we're building a company, it's not always, but oftentimes when we're building a company or product, we did it to scratch our own itch. And that's where some of the best products have come from. So start with yourself and take yourself through this questionnaire. You're going to find out that because you are scratching your own itch, if that's the kind of business you created, you're going to find a lot out. Maybe even things you didn't think about when you were building out the company or building out the product or the brand. So start with yourself. You'll be amazed how much you'll learn just by starting with yourself. Okay. Next up is to plot the results. So ideally, you've done this for 10 to 20 different people. You've taken them all through this questionnaire. Maybe you've done a few in person. Maybe you've done a survey and you've got hundreds. You've done them online. You put it on your social or your LinkedIn, or you did it with your coworkers, whatever you did. Get 10 to 20 of these questionnaires. It's a good place to start. If all you get is 5, fine, start with 5. The point is to start seeing some kind of pattern, but then you want to start plotting those results and seeing where the averages are. So I'm not going to build out a whole plotting table here, but you get the idea. If I'm seeing a lot of people are constantly shopping on social media and they're constantly buying on Instagram, they're constantly buying on Instagram. Now I know where they are and that they're shopping there all the time, and that social media is one of the main places that they shop. That tells me something. And if I'm seeing that from, kind of the average of the 10 or 20 people that I interviewed, half of them are in this kind of area, that tells me something about where they are and where I should be marketing to, right? Same thing about what they care about the most as far as comfort or how they buy them, what they like about shopping online, what they don't. That tells me how I'm going to map out my experience. So if they love one-click shop out, that's the best thing, and you keep hearing that, and that's an average, guess what? We like convenience. So that tells us something about a very particular persona. They don't have the time to go and put in their credit card information every single time. That's really important to them, is that ease of use. So we take those kind of things and we map them onto our personas, which is step 3 here. Let's create personas now. The third thing you need to do is take all that information, take your averages, and start creating personas. Now, I like to start with the average because that's going to give me the bulk. It's going to give me kind of the widest swath. I'm talking to a very specific group of people, but I'm still kind of catering to some of the means and even maybe a little bit of the outliers as well. So you're going to create several of these. Just keep in mind too, you don't ever just have one persona. There are going to be several types of people that buy from you. Your goal is to get that group of them and then solve very specific problems for each of them, because some people care about convenience. Some people care about comfort. Some people care about price. Your goal is to define those people in large chunks and then cater to them with your language in your marketing and your advertising on your landing page and in your process. Okay, personas. We're going to fill one out here just in real time. I found the average for a lot of these, and I'm going to give this one a name. His name is Eric. Put him in quotes because this isn't a real person. We're making him up. But it's kind of fun to give him a name, and it's interesting to give him a name, especially if you have a team of people. That way, I mean, look, it's how we communicate with people. I know what my mom likes. I know what my girlfriend likes. I know what my dad likes, what my sister likes, what their likes and dislikes are for the most part. So if I was getting something very specific for my dad, shopping for my dad, I know what kind of language to use. But when I say dad, everything clicks. All of these columns fill in my head when I say dad. When I say mom, all of these columns fill in my head. When I say sister, they all do. When I say, my girlfriend, Kate, they all fill in on here. So we give Eric a name, and now we kind of see that Eric and the people that are in his category from all the people we interviewed, he accounts for about 35% of my market. So Eric's type accounts for about 35%, which is probably the on the higher end. So he's one of my top demographics. You can start to give them a type. Eric is he is a savvy he's a savvy brand oriented. Actually, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to say he's a tech savvy brand oriented style maker. That's what Eric cares about. He cares about style. He's good with technology, and he really likes to have niche brands. He likes to focus on things that are kind of unique to him. Now we can start to fill in some of the demographic information. Again, now you're going to have kind of a swath, but we're going to put Eric at 31. This is all from all of the information that you gathered. So these are some of your averages, right? Eric is 31. He lives on the East Coast, but we can get more specific than that. He lives in Manhattan, New York. He is single, and he is a, what does Eric do? He is a photographer. You ever do that when you're trying to spell? It's terrible. Maybe it's just me. I'm terrible. All right. So you can give Eric a backstory about why he cares about being tech savvy, why he's brand oriented, why he's a style maker. If he's a photographer, he's interacting with people a lot. He is probably out on the streets a lot. He's in New York, which can be a little bit more of a fashion forward style place, right? So you can give all that background here. And a lot of that you would have gathered from our follow-up questions over here. That's the importance of having some of these follow-up questions about what are their goals, why do they do it this way, what do they expect, what need does it satisfy for them. You know, for Eric cares about fashion. He's in the public eye. He interacts with new people all the time. Sells his photography to fashion magazines. And here's what he looks like. He thinks the brands he wears and his style matter to his clients. Okay. Let me just wrap that text real quick. All right. So there's a little bit of a background for Eric. Now, again, with all of our follow-up questions, we've gathered a lot of this information. So for Eric, what are his goals? His goals are to be fashion forward. Might call that trendy. He likes technology. Remember, Eric's tech savvy, so he wants to make purchases quickly and easily. All right, he wants to make purchases quickly and easily. Cost is not a huge factor. You know, as long as it's under what? $200, right? So again, we've got kind of his goals. He wants to impress people. He wants to be fashion forward. Actually, impressing people is probably higher on his. Okay, what are his motivations? Very, very similar to his goals. Looking good and on brand help him to get more work. At the end of the day, he wants more work. How does he get more work? By feeling like he's on brand and up to trends, because who he deals with are fashion brands and fashion magazines, things like that. So to him, style really matters. Looking good on brand help him get more work. He's got to pay the bills. He's a photographer. All right, pain points. Filling out credit card information. He's tech savvy. He hates that process, right? filling out credit card information, not being able to get his shoe size, the size or color he wants, which is another reason he likes to shop online, of course. Those are two of his big ones. Technology, he's all over Instagram shopping. He does do some Amazon. He is heavily mobile. As a photographer, he's out and about on the streets a lot. He's on shoots. He's traveling a lot. So he does 75% of his shopping is done via mobile. And again, on social, how active is he? Well, as a photographer, he's definitely on Instagram. He does a little Snapchat, but maybe he's getting old for it. And Facebook he has just for business. All right. There we go. That's our first persona. That's how we've created Eric. Now I'm going to just clean some of this document up so it makes sense to me as I go through. All right, there is Eric. Now, this is pretty simple, right? That didn't take very long at all, especially after you've gathered all the data. So now we have a very specific person that we're talking to. We know what his pain points are. We know what he's trying to achieve, what he does for a living, where he's located. How useful is that information when you're building a landing page? How useful is that information when you're doing a marketing or social media program or campaign? I mean, those things come in extremely crucial. Now, think about this. If I write specifically to Eric, with Eric in mind moving forward, how powerful do you think that's going to be? How many Erics are there? Well, we know that about 35% of the people I talk to fit inside of Eric's persona. Now, when I write copy for Eric, I'm writing for those 35% of my market, which is going to be a huge advantage to me, not just with Black Friday, but Cyber Monday, the holidays. Anytime I'm doing a new campaign, now I've got this persona locked in, and it's going to be super valuable to me. So what do I do with it now? I've got Eric. I've got this persona created. We hinted at this earlier, but what do you do with this information? We've learned who Eric is. What does he want? What do you want, Eric? What do you want? What do you want? All right. Now that we know who he is, we know what he wants. We know what his goals are, what his motivations are. We know where he is. So our job is simply to use that information to build out ads. So we're going to use our branding heavily. We're going to use social ads, and we're going to put them on Instagram. We're going to build out a landing page that's very visually appealing and super easy with something like Fast as a checkout option. If you're not familiar with Fast, they are a slightly newer company, but basically they're bringing Amazon's one-click checkout to the entire internet. Once you create a Fast account, you can, and it's on a site that you're using, you can just one-click checkout on virtually any site on the internet. Really cool. They're not a sponsor of this video or anything. I just like them because they're making e-commerce easy, which is something we should all be fans of, removing friction and obstacles from the process. So we know that Eric is going to like that. We're going to make the whole process extremely easy for him. He doesn't have to create an account. If he does, we'll let him do it with Facebook or Google to sign in and sign up. All those kind of steps are saving Eric time, energy, and effort. And what are we going to do too? We're going to make sure that it's extremely easy for him to do on mobile, and that the ads are focused for mobile, and the landing page is designed very well for mobile as well as desktop. That's how we use personas and make them work for us. Okay, we've created persona, we've created ads, we've created landing pages. How do we know if it's working? That's a really good question. How do you know if it's working? Again, at the end of the day, it's all about data and how you collect data and then how you use the data that you have. Now, there's more advanced ways to be using these systems, and we're going to talk about those more in future videos. But in our case, at the very least, we want to be collecting data for how many impressions we get, how much traffic is coming to the site, and if we're seeing a bump. If you already have a site that's laid out like a landing page, and you've been collecting data using just Google Analytics. Just start there. If you're collecting data just using that, we're going to learn very quickly where people are coming from, how long they're spending on the site, and if they converted. Did they actually end up making a purchase? Did they buy one of our sweet new shoes? If they did, and you're seeing that number go up as we've released new campaigns and as we've really honed in on our Erics, then guess what? Our campaign is working. Now, in the future, we're going to talk a little bit more about A/B testing and how you scale things up, because that's how you keep this ball rolling. Here's the good/bad news. It never ends. It never ends. The A/B testing, it just keeps going. It just keeps going. Otherwise, why would Coke or Nike or anybody else even need marketing campaigns anymore? Why would they need marketing departments? Well, consumer behaviors change, trends change. Do you think that consumer behavior changed maybe just a little bit when a worldwide pandemic started? Internet usage went up by like 70% in the first week. Yeah, consumer behaviors changed quite dramatically. That's obviously a big example, but it's relevant. It just goes to show how quickly things can change. So this job is never done. You will constantly be working on these. You use different personas, you gather data, get more specific on your personas. The more specific you get, the more you test. You test to validate your results, and then you go back. This is a very scientific method, but really it's about data analysis and then using that to constantly get better about your market and who you're talking to, and ultimately leading to conversions, sales, and engagement, all that good stuff. All right, so that's what we had today. I just wanted to walk you guys very quickly through this. Just remember, this doesn't have to take a lot of time, energy, or effort, but it is very much worth it. You're going to be very glad you did this type of work. Good luck on Black Friday. We're going to stream again tomorrow to help everybody get ready for Friday, just to make sure that everything is checked. But hope you guys have a great weekend. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Black Friday. Good luck. And I will see you all soon. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you to please subscribe and hit the notification bell below. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Take care.